Okay guys, I'm gonna be honest, I did not expect the Vader guide to ever gain that much traction. I made that video 5 hours after playing pre-spawn nerf JABBAS Palace. Did the math and could not keep it in my pants, so I took to the studio and pumped out that shit for a whopping 20 subs who had to listen to me not only deep-throating my mic, but also whispering 20% of the time to avoid being heard by people in my building. But times have changed. The mic is bitchin', the strats are stronger, and I can be as loud as a man being stabbed to death with a brick. But before we dive headfirst into one of the most cinematic looking guides I've ever done, hey you, go to Instagram and follow my profile on this app called Instagram. I promise you, it is not to gain a decent following that will make me look legit in the eyes of Australian cosplayer Kyla Aaron when I DM her after 200k followers. No, that would be delusional, obsessive, and completely out of character because I am no simp. Back to the topic of Vader. In this video, I'm going to show you how to max him out mega quick. But is it on the same level as pre-nerf JABBAS Palace? Could he ever be restored to the prime XP per minute I creamed my jorts for over a year ago? Yep! Alright, let's talk start cards. We'll need purple cards for Intensified Lightsaber Throw, Punishing Grip, and Surrounded by Fear. We're going to need all the saber damage we can get, combined with a little choke buff and near infinite stamina for this grind. With Surrounded by Fear, we get a good chunk of our stamina back after each kill. At least in terms of co-op, this is one of my all-time favorite cards to run. You'll be facing troopers every 0.5 seconds, and you'll need all the help you can get. Just because you are Vader, it doesn't mean you're immortal, although it's pretty close. Saber heroes can have a really tough time managing their stamina against enemies who hit every single shot, but with Vader, we get to pluck that weakness instantly by equipping this card. Unlike Dooku, Grievous, Anakin, or Luke, Vader has to hit the enemy twice to kill with his saber. Don't get me wrong, his swing speed is fast, but if you're charging a big group of guys with your abilities down, try to combine deflecting blaster shots with basic swings. Man, you will be unkillable. I also like to incorporate lots of jump swings into mopping infantry. Feels a bit faster and it looks pretty sick. Also, try not to go for super fancy chokes here. One floaty choke and the bots will suck your health bar from your colon, so just keep that factor in mind. And that is pretty much it on the basic strats for Vader. Let's get into map discussion. We'll be going over Muff ISLEY, JABBAS Palace, and Death Star 2. Also going to be skimming over a bit of KESSEL. If you prefer one map over the other, I've got timestamps in the description as well as time-based calculations for maxing out Vader in the fastest way you can. Alright, let's get straight into dessert on JABBAS Palace. With almost any other hero, you'd want to prolong the match to get to phase 4, but with Vader, the best XP outlet is right here on phase 1, so it's your top priority to win the match ASAP. I covered this in the last video, but if you want to get the hero before anybody else on JABBAS, take your heavy and explosive sentry and beam this hallway and the one to the left. Make sure to have the bounty hunter card equipped as well. Like I said before, you need to keep the enemy at phase 1. Any other phase and Vader becomes a bit outclassed, thus giving our XP per minute average the cream pill. So even though you are Vader, I'm going to need you to go nuts here. If you're not actively trying to rip every rebel in sight, you're doing something wrong. The aggression level has to be through the roof, and as long as you stay that way, you won't have any competition. When the enemies spawn, come to this position. Place your cursor on the top left of the back entrance and throw your saber. This puts your throw behind the wall and catches any coming down the hallway. Right as your saber returns to your hand, head left and choke this squad to death. When it's clean, dive headfirst into Objective B. And by the time you're done with your work on this wave, the next wave will spawn, so keep an eye out for that big red flash on the radar. When that happens, just repeat the cycle of death. Your speed and hatred may be a bit lacking in the first couple of goes on this map, but believe me, once you get this down, it gets comical. 100 plus kills after 4 minutes of post-spawn nerf, Vader still has it in the sack, you guys. So 35 to 40k is what you're looking for after those 4 minutes, if you want to stay on track for this speedrun, that is. Now let's talk Death Star 2. Is this map super mega reliable in terms of XP? Well, if you keep the enemy on phase 1, just like JABBAS, it's pretty damn good. What's the secret to getting the 30k after 4 minutes on this map, you may ask? Just get to Objective A and defend. Don't be afraid of pushing 10 guys clustered here. You have my permission to kill them all. With your team mostly focused on B, you'll have free reign here and be able to capitalize on a really nice spawn. but do be careful here, because if you step too far out or right in the door, you can be trapped out of bounds. After you murder these guys, head north to the next wave of enemies. They're a bit more spread out, but it's not a problem because we have bonus health, near infinite stamina, and decent cover in all directions. If it seems like B is crumbling, you need to shred the guys on it because spawns on phase 2 and 3 are pretty damn awkward. This map can be a gamble sometimes, but it sure does look cool as hell, and it's decent in terms of XP, so I vibe with it. Ah, come. Now on to the subject of Kessel. This map fucking sucks. From phases 1 to 2. Phase 3 can give even Vader a hard time if he's left all by his lonesome. But, phase 4 guys, it's another goddamn JABBAS palace. Except with a flat ass, because beyond the saber throws at this hallway, it doesn't seem to have the same amount of guys pushing from the right side of the map. Nevertheless, if you do find yourself on Kessel with brainlit teammates, you might want to hang back until phase 4 because the XP is pretty damn good. A good tip for getting a decent saber toss down this hallway is to stand here and let the enemy fall into place. If you reveal yourself too quick, they'll hang back and look for cover behind this ridge to the far left. God, I hate it when they resist. Whenever you get a kill in the out of bounds zone, you get an extra objective kill bonus, so that's a huge plus about this phase 2. Alright, final map, EISLEY. This is the only attack map in this guide, which means you'll need Vader in the first phase for that extra juicy 3000 XP. Phase 1 is a simple cap. Enemies are spread out like butter, and you can pick them off with ease. I like to first do the hello motherfucker choke on the rebels inside objective B, before capitalizing on the spawn in the middle of the map. It's a bit close quarters. If your health gets too low, try sticking to the rooftops or leading heavily with block. Now for phase 2, we'll make our way through the mid lane, then out into objective B. Vader can get into some sticky situations here, and I found rooftop chokes to be a really good place to start. Once you clear the enemy completely off of B, wait in this doorway for a big chunk of enemies to come through. You can cut the snake off at the head if you want, but that sometimes doesn't work out too well. For phase 2, we'll get nutty with objective B. Cling to the rooftops and try to choke heroes and the Wookiees first. Alone, this can be mild trouble for Vader, but as long as you gradually push your way through, it's cake. When this objective is capped, you need to head to this space and flush out any rebels trying to flee. You can pick up about 5 to 10 guys before heading down to the last phase. Now phase 4 may seem a bit daunting, but all you really need to do is slowly push around the circumference of this area. This final spawn chunk is pretty decent, so it's a good idea to leave some of the guys on the objective alive. Come up these stairs and just wait for the door to open. When it does, simply introduce them to God. You can come out and finish them, just make sure to head out left as soon as you're done to avoid dying. And just do this until the clock reaches 0, you cap the objective, where the goblin living in the back of your skull tells you it's hungry. And that is the new Vader grind. JABBAS obviously works best, but hopefully I'll have removed some boredom in covering other maps, should you want to try those out too. And to the Vader mains out there about to jump into this, best of luck. And also,
don't ever be ashamed of who you are.
Alright, get loose on the grind. The reinforcements are coming next Tuesday, so keep the bell on for the notification. If you're starting to see a pattern with a consistent upload every Tuesday and Friday, that's because you're a smart cookie, and I now have a schedule. How long will it last? Well, a long time. Apologies again to the Finn and Phasma mains out there. Literally the last of the series, but I assure you they're coming ASAP. Alright, I've got some chicken pot pie in the oven ready to come out, so